never a mistake about that. In the beginning, I thought it was funny. In the beginning, I was flattered. All these boys listening to me, laughing at my jokes, all the attention. I was the center of their circle. They flirted, I flirted. I was free to do that, and it was fun. The air was warm that late summer night. The stars were bright and beautiful. I was giddy, if not drunk. The mood was light. I was young. I was carefree. I was out. I was on. Then their hands were on me. They were still flirting. They were still laughing. I tried to keep the mood light, not overreact, not make a big deal out of nothing. But their hands were on me. I tried to laugh as I brushed them away. Just a laugh, just a joke, just having fun. But they were not laughing at the joke. They were laughing at me. I was the joke, and I was not having fun. And then it wasn't flattering. Then it was humiliating. I realized the moment too late. The mood had shifted so suddenly. That once warm summer air had turned thick and hot as their bodies encircled mine. Their hands, so many hands, were everywhere. Over my jeans, over my shirt, around my waist. I was being lifted, effortlessly lifted and carried away easily by the largest of them. Carried through the woods, away from those not part of this group. Away from anyone who might care to stop them. Carried until I was dropped, without regard, onto the ground in a small clearing. I was on my back. I could see the stars. They were still bright, still beautiful, and totally indifferent to the fact that everything else about the night had changed. Once again, I was the center of the circle. This time, I did not want to be. I was not giddy. I was not drunk. I was scared. I was disappointed. I was embarrassed. And then I was almost resigned to what I knew was going to happen. At least now it made sense. Their attention, their flirting. At least now it was in a familiar context. They didn't actually like me. They only wanted to use me. This, at least, feels familiar. It's not like I had never had sex I didn't want to have before. It was easier not to fight. It is easier, safer, and less horrible if I could just convince myself that it didn't mean anything. It is not important if I could just pretend inside and out not to mind. I would be okay. You can't break the will. But that was only a brief thought. Because as I looked around me, at the huge, drunk, stupid men surrounding me, I knew there was no surviving this. Not for me. There was no coming back from this one. I had been used before. I got over it. I was damaged already, but this was different. There were too many of them. They were too big. Had I really let my life get this out of control? This time I had something out here to look forward to, plans I had made. My second year of college about to start. A semester in London. I had to go. I had to survive this. Face it. You put yourself here. This is the end of the road you chose. You were asking for it. You deserve this. Endure it. Get through it. Get over it. But I knew. In my soul, I knew I would not get over this. I felt the regret of knowing my life in this night. These boys, these very large, very drunk, very stupid boys, would have their way with me, discard me, and move on. I would not move on. I would not get over this. It is like that moment when the roller coaster is about to start and there is no turning back. Whatever is to happen is out of your control, and you have no choice but to proceed. I decided then that if my life ended in these woods, it wouldn't be because I couldn't emotionally survive being gang raped. That was too big. If my life ended here in these woods, it would be because I fought to the death, not to be gang raped. That was a death I could live with, so to speak. This cannot happen. Get off the roller coaster, do whatever you need to do. Stop time, reverse the clock. This cannot happen. There is no other option. Decision made, it is simple now. I fought like I had never fought before. In fact, I had never fought before. I kicked, I punched, I scratched, I bit, I spat. I pulled hair. Only twice was I coordinated enough to land a strike where it really counted. In the place that drove them. But still I fought. And I fought, and I fought, and I fought. Inside my mind, there was something screaming. It was loud. So loud, like a trapped, enraged animal, so loud. I could hear it like thunder or a train roaring through a tunnel, loud. Mind screaming, blood rushing, heart pounding, and I fought. But only a few of them fought back. My terror, my frantic, lunatic like flame, had seemed to wake the rest of them back to reality. One of them said something about this being disgusting and walked away. The others stayed to watch. It was dark. It was loud. I couldn't make out what they were saying. Random words, bitch, slut, original things like that. And then someone said, clear as day. Someone said, stop it. Just leave her alone. She isn't worth this effort. And this was heard. One sentence heard above all the yelling, all the noise. One sentence heard. I wasn't worth it. One sentence heard. And it was over. It just took one of them to say stop. And they did. They walked away. All of them. They walked away. One of them stopped and turned back toward me. My heart stopped with him. I thought, here we go again. But he walked slowly toward me, put his hand over mine, and pulled me to my feet. He helped me up. He looked at me quickly, then at the ground, and walked away shaking his head. In that brief moment when he looked at me, I saw something in his eyes that really confused me. I saw fear, and I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed. And that was when the pain ended. I was covered in bruises, all over my body, mostly over my thighs and upper arms. I had fingerprints surrounding my arms, my lip was cut, my hip was dislocated. Although I wouldn't know that until the next day, made up a story. I never told my mother. I never told my friends. I never told anyone. Until later. Much later. I never told anyone until I realized that the story was not about something shameful and horrible that had happened to me. The story was one of liberation. It is the story of the moment in my life when I decided I would take control of it. It is the story of how I came to own my body, my will, my life.